Welcome, Mark. How are you today?
Doing good. Good to be here.
Good. Oh, glad you can join us. You are the February Player of the Month for our mock assessment series. So really appreciate your efforts and the insights you bring. You're the VP Operations at Shadowscape and also a lead CCA, wisdom and knowledge to those mock assessments. But the purpose of this spotlight is kind of get to know a little more about your journey, get to where you are today. First, let's start off. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Provo, Utah,
Ooh,
so just south of Salt Lake. Went to BYU and then got a master's in information systems management and then headed off to IBM over in Boulder, Colorado. So it's kind of fun to do that.
Okay. How long did you spend at IBM?
Almost 20 years.
Whoa.
Long time.
Okay, a long stretch.
It was good.
Ooh. All right. And then after you left IBM, what was next stop on your journey?
So I decided after a long career at IBM, it was just tough laying people off. I had a great team and great management and everything, but it was tough to laying people off every year. So I went over to Microsoft, had a good time there for a couple of years managing the federal security team over there, managing all the Microsoft tools and suite and everything like that. Enjoyed that. And then things changed and I decided I want to kind of start up my own company. So I started my own consulting company called Beartooth Cybersecurity and realized that consulting on your own is kind of lonely. So I joined up with Shadowscape and James McCarter and been here about 2 years and really enjoyed it.
Okay, great. Now, I think that's good insights because I think that's something that a lot of consultants don't talk about. It certainly can be a lonely journey. So can you elaborate a little more on that as far as the loneliness of it and what did you miss about being on a part of a team versus being a lone consultant?
Well, yeah, as part of a team, I was a manager at both Microsoft and IBM. And so you have lots of people that you're interacting with every day. You have lots of meetings. And then when you become a consultant, you realize you have to actually be in sales first before you can be a consultant. And that's harder than I had realized. And then doing all the other administrative stuff, you got to set up insurance and you have to do logo and you have to do website and you have to do all these other things that you have to really do and you don't think about. And then you're not billing 100% of your time because whenever you're doing admin or sales stuff, that's non-billable. And sometimes your clients take a week off, don't have anything for you that week and you can't bill. So obviously, as you try and build a business, you're trying to build more and more clientele. But in the beginning, it's tough. I had 2 or 3 good clients, but it wasn't steady work. And it was a lot of kind of boring stuff like policy writing and those kinds of things. And so I decided it would be nice to kind of join a company here locally. Because I moved to Idaho after 3 years of being in Boulder. And so I was working from home for the last 17, 18 years. And I was like, you know what? I want to be with a local company and be able to go into the office and shoot the breeze with the guys and stuff. So really enjoyed that.
Okay. So tell us more about Shadowscape.
Well, Shadowscape does, they're just a small startup. They've been around about 4 or 5 years and they do 3 main things. They do services. So like I do the vCISO stuff, policy. We do pen testing, threat intelligence, tabletop exercise, go on the dark web and help people with ransomware. We do incident response, things like that. And then we also do training. We do a lot of more advanced training, especially custom training for some of the bigger companies in the industry. And then we're also building some software, which is kind of going to be our main thing that financially quantifies cyber risk, more so than just the normal standard fair model. It's much more in depth. So we actually take the value of the asset itself and add that to the equation. So you have threats, vulnerabilities, and the value of the asset. So that's kind of what Shadowscape does in a nutshell.
Okay. All right. So you're not as experiencing that loneliness anymore.
Yeah.
That part of a team.
That's good. I like it.
No, that's awesome. I certainly can relate to founder and president of Aspire Cyber. I didn't realize how lonely it was until starting the CMMC Professionals Network, which you are a board member. Appreciate that. But yeah, just the contrast between being a consultant, running your own company, to being part of a team, a community. Like, wow, I realized how much I missed it until I had that exposure. It is pretty lonely being a consultant.
Yeah.
Everything has its trade-offs.
Yeah, for sure. I know from some consultants, they really enjoy it once they get busy and they have lots of clients, but that first year or 2 is really tough for everybody.
Oh yeah, there's no way around it. So you're wearing a lot of different hats, along with just the subject matter expert doing cybersecurity, a lot of other things, marketing,
Yeah.
advertising, sales, the works. So
Yep.
very good insights. Now, going back to, let's say when you graduated from high school, were you always interested in IT?
Not really. I mean, I was more business minded. And
Okay.
when I started at Microsoft or at IBM, I was a project manager. I really enjoyed that. I was a project manager for 6 or 7 years, got my PMP, and I loved
Okay.
to work with people and try and manage those projects. And I like that. And then I moved into management and I enjoyed that because I like working more on the people and the business side than I do like hands-on keyboard IT side. I enjoy the technical kind of a medium to higher tier. I'm
Hmm.
not getting into the X's and O's and the nitty gritty technical details at the super low level. Just kind of my
Yeah.
personality.
Okay. Sounds good. And I did mention that you are a board member of CPN. So as far as that sense of service, has that always been something that you just kind of gravitated to, looking for opportunities to serve and give back?
Yeah. Yeah. I've always kind of done it in my community, in my church. And then I've liked to try and do this in the work community. And I think CMMC is a really valuable program for the US and the country and those in the military. So I think that's an important thing.
Some I've noticed people that are drawn to CMMC or kind of supporting the defense industrial base has a kind of that strong sense of service, veterans, or just want to serve in whatever capacity they can, patriotism as well. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool for me working with people that have share those same values. So I know at Microsoft, you say you were kind of part of their federal sector. Is that what got kind of introduced you to NIST, SBA 171, the DIB, CMMC?
A little bit. I mean, I was mostly in the civilian side.
Okay.
I did manage a team that had some of the Army and the Air Force and a little bit like that. But yeah, but last year, my CEO came and said, Mark, there's this new CMMC thing. What do you think of that? And so I did some research and I really liked it, both from an objective perspective and also just that I felt like the workload would be a lot higher. And to be able to get certifications and get qualified in a way where people would be coming to us would be really attractive.
Yeah.
And it took a little longer than we thought, which kind of most people in the industry. But now that it is that way, there's a lot of demand. And so it's exciting for us in terms of not having to work really, really hard for every single dollar, whereas there's more demand and it just makes the sales side a little bit easier. So.
Yeah. Awesome. So I guess, what are some strategic things that you and or Shadowscape did to kind of be positioned now that there is increased demand to be recognized as that subject matter expert, that trusted advisor for CMMC, or now, like you say, you're not doing as much chasing. The opportunities are coming to Shadowscape.
Yeah, I tried to get my CCP and CCA as fast as possible. So I got them both in like 3 months.
Impressive.
I just felt like once I make a decision, I'm just going to go. Let's just roll with
Right.
it. And so I just went full steam ahead, got those, and I'd already gotten my CISM, which was really nice because come to find out, you had to have that advanced certification. And then a lot of my work at IBM, when I was actually the head of global security, cybersecurity for GTS, which is Global Technology Services,
Mm-hmm.
that all that work that I did there helped on the assessment and the audit side. And so I had the qualifications to be a lead CCA. And so being able to put all that together
Mm-hmm.
just made it worth it. And it's been great. I've loved it.
Yeah, you are seeing some increased activity now that the CMMC program rule is final.
Yeah.
Getting your feet wet with some assessments. What's that experience been like?
Yeah, it's been interesting because I am a 1099. We're not a C3PO. And so we have contracts with quite a few C3POs, and it's really good to work with them and see how they all do their business differently. Try and learn from each of those. Some of them we've started working with clients and realized that they weren't ready. They had to pause it and tell them to come back later. And others have been really good and the clients were ready. And usually it was because they'd done a mock assessment.
Okay.
And that was the biggest factor in being really ready, or they'd been through a DIPCAC before review. So it's been good working with those people. And the thing that impresses me the most is how hard they've worked to get ready. It is just an incredible amount of work. and the stress levels, that first day, they are just on pins and needles, especially when their boss is in the room and it's
Oh,
just
yeah.
stressful thing for them. And so I try to put them at ease and let them know, hey, we're all in this together from a national security perspective, and we want you to pass, but obviously we need to make sure that everything you have is in place and is compliant and you're meeting all the objectives. That's kind of a little bit about what's happened so far in the assessments. But then good though, I've done QA, CCA, and lead CCA on multiple assessments.
That's fantastic. And I think it's valuable guidance from the perspective of the assessor, and hopefully other assessors take your advice in terms of ways they can put the OSC, that organization seeking certification, put them at ease. They're going to be very stressed, and it's high stake assessments. Bosses in the room, they're under the spotlight, and a lot has gone into getting to that point. A lot of money, time, resources. So as assessors, we need to be compassionate. Understand, it's not a I got you exercise. We're not trying to trip them up. We're all really on the same team, but as assessors, you have a job to do. Objectively make sure that they have implemented the requirements. Yes, I think of the politically correct word to use. You don't have to be just abrasive about it or mean. So,
Yeah, and that's why one of the reasons they don't call it an audit, because we're not there as auditors. We're there as assessors to make sure that they're doing what they need to be doing.
Yep, absolutely. Like I say, a lot of work goes into getting ready.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important to at least have that mock assessment where it's not, you don't want it to be your first rodeo when you're going through the real certification assessment.
Sure.
Definitely could miss a lot about it. So outside of CMMC, IT, and this consulting, what do you do for fun?
I love the outdoors. So I have four-wheelers, love to go camping, hiking, fishing.
Oh, yeah, all the good
Love
stuff.
to just get outdoors. Love to travel with my wife and kids. I only have 5 kids.
Only, huh?
So keeps me busy. I love to coach for many, many years. 18 years I coached my daughters, my sons, and retired this last year from coaching. But it was really hard. This Saturday I watched my son play a flag football game and I wanted to help face the sidelines instead.
Bite your tongue, huh? Just be a spectator.
Yeah, it's good. Love it though. Stay busy.
Yeah, ties back into that heart for service, and definitely coaching kids sports, especially when they're really young. You have to have a heart for it.
Yeah.
Lots of patience.
Yeah, one time I was yelling and my daughter was 7. My wife texted me mid-game because I was yelling at the girls in soccer, and she texts me and she says, "Mark, they are 7." So I was like, "You're right."
Thanks for the reminder. Yeah, I can imagine as a coach, you get into it, like just get laser focused, tunnel vision, win. Should balance and having fun too. 3-year-old son and 5-year-old daughter, so I'm sure I'm gonna get some coaching experience in and get future. So I'll be calling you for some tips on coaching. Cool. So when you think about with being a lead assessor, what would you say you enjoy most about it?
I enjoy when they're successful, when the OSCs are successful, and seeing their excitement and their joy when they pass. That is probably the best thing about it because they put so much time and effort into it. Obviously, we can't consult, but we can ask good questions and we can ask probing questions that help them potentially realize the areas they may need to tweak and adjust, which they can in certain cases. But at the end of the day, I just love to see them be able to pass and see the joy of that. And the hot wash out brief or the out brief meeting is a great meeting to go to and see that. So it's probably the best thing about it.
Yeah, agree. Everyone's celebrating when they pass. That's a good day for everybody.
Yeah.
I will say, what has been some of your biggest surprises on assessments?
Well, it's been interesting to see how sometimes people way overthink the requirement, and they either that or they way underthink it and they're just really vague. In many cases, the requirement just says state your essential programs or whatever it is, transactions, functions. Instead of just making a whole list of 4 or 5 things that would clearly state what their things are, they try to either give a huge explanation or they reference stuff and they do just way too much or way too little. And it's kind of the Goldilocks and the 3 bears analogy of just answer the question.
Right.
Be really specific. And I give the example to a lot of people, it's like a test. A lot of times, half the thing you're trying to figure out is what is the question asking, and so they don't even answer the question correctly. And I tell people all the time, go read the CMMC assessment guide, especially the examples and the questions down in there. And if they just look at those examples and the questions and they just answer it similarly to that assessment guide, they're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it's kind of frustrating when they don't answer the question or they don't understand the question. And you're like, just go look at the guide. It's there.
Yeah. And that's something I always equate the CMMC certification assessment to. It's an open book exam. There's nothing hitting it. You know exactly what those assessors are going to be looking at, that assessment guide, those assessment objectives.
Right.
That's not optional for them. They have to look at each assessment objective and determine if that requirement is met. To your point, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, to your point, if the OSC, that company hasn't looked at the assessment guide, then they're not going to be able to provide you the information you're going to need as an assessor to determine if that requirement is met. Seems like a no-brainer.
And the problem is R2 is a little bit archaic in a few of the questions, which is fine. You just have to read it and figure out, are you not applicable or you inherit? There's a lot of confusion in inheriting or not applicable. And so that's something that you have to figure out as well.
Going back to the comment you made about, as an assessor, asking good questions, critical. Book I read years ago, I think it said like good leaders ask good questions. From your point of view, what are some characteristics of good questions that assessors can ask?
Well, I think one of them is, tell me a little bit more about this, or give me your perspective on this, or what did you really mean by that in your response? And then also the big one is, can you show me that? And I am surprised sometimes by people being like, I don't know where that is. Let me go look. And so many times in the pre-assessment phase, especially like the week before the assessment, I try to tell people, look, be ready to show us every single question that we could say, hey, show us where this is. Show us evidence of that. And so you need to practice that and be ready, or at least have it written down or something of where do you need to go grab that? Because there's many times where we'll wait 2, 3, 4 minutes for somebody to go look for something and then be like, oh, I can't find it. We'll put that on the hot wash item. And so how fast these things go and how efficient they are and how successful the OSC is how prepared they are in terms of being ready to show you when you ask, hey, could you show me that? And that's a key element to a successful assessment.
Exactly. Certainly. Rehearse, prepare.
Yeah.
Back to your coaching days, I'm sure y'all did a lot of practicing plays and going over preparing for game day. Certainly the parallels. Now, in regards to, there's a lot of buzz around CMMC now, and just a lot of people are interested in transitioning from cybersecurity roles, GRC roles, and get into the CMMC career field. What is your advice for people that are looking to get into the CMMC career field?
It's been interesting because I posted a job this last week and had a bunch of people apply, and a lot of people ask that exact question. And my thing is, look, it's pretty expensive to become a CCA, and it takes a lot of time. And if you're up for that, then it's a great field to be in because the demand is going to increase and people want to do something different. But I think the key is finding a good training partner, and you got to pass some of those tests or exams. Many of the people have them. But I think it's a good pivot or shift for a lot of people that want to do something different, want to be on the other side. So some of the people that contacted me were actually on the OSC side, and they want to have a shift. And I think that's a great opportunity. It opens up a whole new field of work for people, and potentially at a little bit higher rate or salary. So I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, agree. Certainly a promising career field, lots of growth opportunities. It's going to be exciting to see plays out and the type of people that are attracted. I'm excited to see it, see the future of CMMC. Absolutely. Well, awesome, Mark. Well, I know you have some assessments this week and you have to get back to work, but I appreciate you taking time today to, of course, learn more about you. And I just want to thank you for all the contributions you've made to our mock assessment series, and also as a board member of CPN.
You bet. Happy to help.
Really appreciate it. If you receive value from this episode, I invite you to subscribe and like so that you're the first to know when we release new episodes. Also, check out cmmcproof.com to learn more about the arsenal of resources that we provide to equip you to conquer CMMC. We'll see you next time.